not going to do that.
Let's move on quickly to other issues. I'd like to also know, because it's out there, some of these issues we're discussing tonight are perhaps not the first time you are hearing them. Can you tell us, what would you say is the source of wealth, or how Mr. Bola Tinubu, your principal, makes his money?
Thank you very much. Now, for me to answer that judiciously, I have to go back to how the man, I knew him to have been spending money and to have been wealthy ever before he got into office. And I'll give you an example. When in 1991, he was going into politics, making his foray into politics, he contested the senatorial election, Lagos West, and won. And you and I know, and in fact, most Nigerians know, that contesting elections in Nigeria is not a child's play. Paupers don't contest elections, more or less. I mean, how much more senatorial elections? Paupers don't do it. So he must be a man of some means. So he contested. In fact, before then, he had been contributing to political organizations. The primrose or whatever, how they call it, Alhaji Kola Hussaini is still alive. He had been making political contributions towards causes and all that before he himself took up the gauntlet and went into the Senate. Now, his election, his election result, he polled the highest number of votes nationwide in that senatorial election of that year and became a senator in 1992. Now, fast forward, 1993 started. We started in June 12. He was with the Yaradua caucus, the People's Front, within SDP at that time. He was also funding. He was in the pauper. So then June 12 came with the attendant annulment of the results and the plunging of some of us who are in the in the front line, as it were, plunge ourselves into it. And he did with remarkable justice, with unflinching support and energy at his disposal, and financial commitment as well. And I make bold to say here today that even after he went through all the vicissitudes, all the harassment, all the oppressions, his house firebombed, he was in detention at Alagbon for a while. I used to go and visit him there because we were still carrying on operations of anti-military operations, of activities to de-annul the election results, and fighting for the restoration of the June 12 election outside. He was still directing and giving instructions, even in detention at Alagbon. And he was still spending money. And all of these years before he got into government as a governor. And after that, when he was declared wanted, dead or alive, he had to take the now famous Nadeko route out of Nigeria and landed in
that, Mr. Lake, because there are also deniers.
All of this is to establish. All of this is to establish the fact that this man had been spending money and wealthy before he ever got into office as governor.
So because there have been deniers.
Why should I?
Okay, just a moment. If I may put the question in, Mr. Lake. There have been deniers as to which companies Mr. Tinubu owns and which he doesn't own. Since you're here and you know just so much about him, can you tell us which of the companies, because your opponents are already talking about the source of wealth of their own candidate and how they made money. If you can tell Nigerians tonight, what companies or what source of wealth or how does your principal make his money? Because now these questions are going to be asked over and over again. If you can just clarify some of these issues. 1, 2, 3, 4, which of the companies does he own, since you said he doesn't own these or own that?
What I know is that right from his days in the corporate world, he has been trading in stocks. And he himself said so. Even in foreign currency, he has been buying stocks and bonds and all of that. I'm not a finance person, so I'm not going to be knowing or be interested in the nitty-gritty of it all. No, I am not a finance man. But I know that he has been trading in stocks. And I know that when you trade in stocks and you are a finance person, you know how to juggle the stock market and all of that. Those who are adept at it, they know what I'm talking about. They wouldn't start questioning how he made his money from stocks. He was buying stocks of blue chip companies and all of that, and he was making money and he was spending money. And I said that he has been doing all of this years before he got into government. Now, why people are saying that are querying the source of his wealth is because he has been governor of Lagos, a successful governor of Lagos, a successful politician, even after office, and is about the only one of the class of 1999 who is at that enviable height, political height today. So it's bound to attract all of these negative connotations.
I mean, so you've okay. So you mentioned stock trading.
Yeah.
Is that the only thing that you know majorly that he gets money
blue
from?
chip companies. That is immaterial.
So
in blue chip companies.
Does he have stake in some of these blue chip companies? Are they operating in Nigeria, or where can we link them to? Are they still verifiable?
I did say that in foreign, I mentioned in foreign, if you can recall vividly, I said in foreign at that time. And if you were to be making all of those, buying stocks and making money in foreign, you know what it means in Naira terms. So let us not overflog issues that are, look, and I told you, all of these things are being adumbrated and propagated simply out of envy, simply out of the desire to pull him down. We call it a PhD syndrome, pull him down syndrome. If you cannot match him, you pull him down. That is the bane of African development, particularly the Nigerian variant.
Yeah.
So that is it.
So
he
now,
made his money before he got into office. I think what is important to Nigerians really is to know that this man was not a pauper before he came into government as governor, unlike some others.
Mr. Alake, you have not been able to tell me tonight which company he owns that operates on the shores of Nigeria, aside the fact that he said he trades in stock.
What's my business going about the company that he owns in Nigeria? If tomorrow you become like Bola Almed Tinubu, why should I be bothering about the companies you own? As long as it is not proved that you have taken the money of your state or whatever company you work for, that you've stolen that money. If it is not proved and you are not indicted by any court of law, why should I now be bothering my head? It is an extraneous issue, and it is, like I always say, pandering to the whims and caprices of those who are jealous and extremely envious, suffering from OCH, obsessive compulsive hatred of Asiwaju. That's it.
Mr. Alake, the day you decide to run for president or governor, your life, everything about it will be thrown under the spotlight.
Yes, and explanations will
be given. That is what public office is about. Now, let's move swiftly because I have about 2 questions. Okay. I can't go in all of those issues. We can't delve into campaign matters tonight, unfortunately, because of the rules guiding the campaigns. We're not yet in that period. Now, 2 questions that I'd like to ask you. One, is this controversy about his identity, his real name? And I'm asking this question for you to be able to officially come to the public and enlighten Nigerians, if you may, if that's the right word to use, and clearly state what the real issues are. Even the public domain, there is a lot of confusion as to his real identity. Perhaps he had some other names, and his origin, his background, his real parent. Give Nigerians an idea or clarification in that regard.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Now, let me tell you point blank that his name, as far as I know, is Bola Almed Tinubu. Now, if anybody else has another name that I'm not aware of and has proof of that name, let the person come forward. So many things since 1999, so many issues have been raised concerning his origin, concerning his name, and all of that. And some names have been, blown out there, put in the public domain, like I would say, but nobody has come to prove or show any evidence of those names being his biological name, or of some people being his parents outside of those he says are his parents. Now, if you must allege, you must prove. You can't just allege and then go away and assume that everybody else will be as uncritical in thinking and assume it and take it and hook, line, and sinker. No. If you allege, you must prove. If Bola Tinubu is not his name, what's his name? How do you now show us evidence, documentary evidence, that this is the name that Bola Tinubu was given at birth and not Bola Tinubu? As long as you can't come up with that, as long as nobody, at least since 1999, 23 years, nobody has come up with any evidence, any contrary evidence, that his name is not Bola Tinubu. So what do you expect me to say to that? But to dismiss it as the rantings and rantings of nabobs of negativism, nothing else. There's nothing. His origin. Some say he's not a Lagosian. He's from Iragbiji in Osun. He's from Oshogbo in this. He's from that. What's my business with all of those ones? How does that affect the quality of the man's brain?
Yeah. So what we are concerned,
how does that? Those two. Let me now give you some examples.
Please wait. Me, I want to ask another question. Please. Now, Arise News asks person where they follow Tinubu. He asks am, say wetin Tinubu dey do. He no fit answer. Now, yesterday, Channel TV asks you, Dele Alake, wetin Tinubu dey do. You no fit tell us. This question now will go straight. This question now will go straight. Please. This one now, make it go straight. We want make Bola Almed Tinubu come out, come tell us wetin in dey do, where in dey get all this money. Thank you. Dele Alake, continue.
Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton. Clinton was not even his father. Clinton was his stepfather. Through you, I want to enlighten and educate those who think that all of these things are material. They are not material. It is the stuff that the man is made of. The hood does not make the monk. It is the stuff that is upstairs of the monk that makes the monk. Even some say he didn't go to primary school, he didn't go to secondary school, he didn't go to this. I went to Chicago State University in year 2000 when this thing first broke. And I went to the dean's office, Dean Student Affairs. I was shown the yearbook. I saw his name. I saw his picture. He had a big afro then, but his face was unmistakable. You couldn't. So I saw that with my own eyes. And then the
issues are coming up. Just for a moment, Mr. Alake, if these issues are coming up, it's because, when you're coming to public life, there are a lot of things that you also need to lay bare and lay clean on the table. Yes. For those who are researching, the credentials submitted by your principal, obviously, there was no primary school certificates and all of that. And there are inferences that on his primary school certificate was an alleged name of Amada Ogunlere. I'm very sure that you perhaps are not hearing that for the first time. Is there any linkage? Was there any change of name in the early stage of his life?
Before I answer that, let me ask you, have you ever seen a document showing his name and certificate as a mother, whatever? Have you? Or you heard? Just like people keep saying, we heard, we heard, we heard. Rumor mongering. Nobody has ever shown any document like this to say, this is the certificate with a mother, whatever. Nobody. And Sheon, I always say that Nigerians should subject things to critical analysis. I'm not saying that people should not carry rumors, because in a political environment or political game like this, opponents must dig anything, any dirt to throw at you. But the point is, he who alleges must prove. You must show documentary evidence. There is none, Sheon, except you are telling me you have seen one. I haven't seen one. Now, the issue of primary school that you just mentioned, thank you for that. Now, let me clear the air today. Sheon, I know if you are not old enough, and this is not an aspersion or a slur on you, this is just a statement of fact. If you are not old enough, I'm sure you have people around you who are old enough to know that in those days, when people were indigent, one, schools were not as plentiful as many as we have today. Two, a lot of people were indigent and could not even afford the school fees to go to formal institutions. And at that time, a lot of people did read at home and pass their exams. And today, I can name you professors who never went to secondary school, who passed their exams from home, reading from home. Let me even shock you further. The Queen of England, that the whole world is paying obeisance to today, she never went to any formal school, not elementary, not high. Go and research it. That's the Queen of England. And she's been the most talked about monarch in the entire world in the last 70 years. It is not the hood that makes the monk. Bola Tinubu should be commended for pulling himself up by the bootstraps from nothing.
Mr. Alake, we're totally out of time that we allotted for the conversation with you. But just in 30 seconds, Nigerians have a lot of expectations and hopes on who becomes the next president. And they will ask the right questions, the tough questions of the next leader of this country, because they have the right to do so. Anyone who wants to lead over 200 million Nigerians must be ready to answer the critical questions. How fit is your principal for this job in terms of health? What can you tell Nigerians tonight?
Sheon, Bola Tinubu is fit as a fiddle. His schedule of duties, his schedule of work has never changed in the last 30 years. And let me now give you an empirical example. Before the primaries and after the primaries, let's be honest to ourselves, which contestant, which aspirant before the primaries traversed the length and breadth of Nigeria like Bola Tinubu, making consultations, seeking for votes and support, in spite of all this noise about his health? After the primaries, when he became candidate, which candidate has been traversing the length and breadth of Nigeria, seeking and working assiduously as him? He is as fit as a fiddle.
All right, we're totally out of time.
He has more stamina than the so-called healthy people, I can assure you.
Mr. Alake, thank you so much for your time tonight. Brace yourself up, because more questions will be asked as we move closer to the day. And please, next time,
bring it on. I'm ready.
Get those evidence so that when you present them to Nigerians, since you were a former journalist, so you were before you cross to the other side. Thank you so much, Mr. Adele Alake, for talking to us.
My pleasure.
My
pleasure. Thank you.
Of Tinubu person to answer this question again. We won't make Tinubu himself, because this one where his people come dey talk, we know they hear, we know they understand, we no know wetin that they tell us, they no dey even give us the answer wey we need. Wetin we want now, this question we go send am straight to Bola Almed Tinubu. So Bola Almed Tinubu, wetin you dey do? Which company you get? Wetin you dey do for dis country or outside dis country wey you dey get all dis money? Na Nigerian question. Na question wey Nigerian dey ask you now be dat. We no want any of your person to come out to answer this question again. We want to hear from the horse's mouth. Please, this is Ogbo.tv. Share it. Make sure say you share am until Baba himself hear am. Thank you and God bless you.